the Philippine Navy has embarked on acquiring a small fleet of diesel-electric attack submarines. This procurement would allow the service to increase its combat capability into the underwater domain, conduct stealth operations, and introduce elements of uncertainty into its engagements with unfriendly naval forces. Being challenging to detect, they are also suited for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions. In this video, we will look at the Philippines' desire to have a submarine force, which is currently the most expensive and most complicated project of the Philippine Navy. The project will provide assets that even a small fleet of frigates may not offer in terms of overall naval combat capability.
330 for 62 low 665.
301 Freedom Marshal, case for recovery, CV1 approach, expected final bearing 331, altimeter 3001. 301 Marshal 170, 24 Angels, 9er.
The Philippine Navy has been striving to acquire submarines since the 1950s, but has been unsuccessful in many attempts. Either the American government restricted the Philippines in obtaining submarine technology. When the Americans lifted this, they could not transfer submarines, for believing that the Philippine government cannot support such ability. In the early 1950s, the Philippine Navy requested 3 World War II-era diesel submarines from the US government and PBY Catalina flying boats. But only the flying ships arrived, which were assigned later on to the Philippine Air Force. In the 1970s, former Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos expressed his desire to obtain submarines from other countries, specifically diesel-electric models from friendly countries like the US and Germany. For the past several decades, the US Navy has stopped operating diesel-electric submarines and has converted to an all-nuclear submarine force, which deprived the Philippines of getting surplus submarines from the United States, as nuclear submarines are a no-go for apparent reasons. The last diesel-electric attack submarines of the US Navy were already almost 30 years in the late 1970s, when the Philippine government requested the transfer of at least 2 units, as part of the 1977 to 1981 Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program. The US government rejected the request for them. With the last diesel-electric submarines from the US already gone, the Philippines cannot expect the US to help its submarine aspirations. There were queries made with the German government back then for the small Type 206 coastal submarine and more extensive Type 209 submarine, although that is as far as the Philippines has gone back then. And with the Philippine economy tanking out in the 1980s, further attempts stopped on such programs. The submarine desire continued until the 1980s up to the 1990s, when former Philippine Navy flag officer in command, Vice Admiral Eduardo Santos, endorsed in 1998 the concept of the Philippine Navy having submarines under the AFP Modernization Program, mandated by Republic Act 7898 and approved in 1995. And opened up the possibility of acquiring midget submarines from Italy as a preliminary move while moving on to conventional diesel-electric submarines in the future. The Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program from 1995 to 2010 passed, without the Philippine Navy acquiring submarines, or even a meaningful surface fleet that it can say is modern. And it was only natural that submarines will again be floated for acquisition when the revised Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program was mandated by Republic Act 10349, approved in 2013. In the revised Philippine Navy Modernization Plan, as shown on the desired force mix released by the Philippine Navy in 2014, the goal was to procure at least 3 conventional diesel-electric submarines within the 2013 to 2028 timeframe. In 2015, another infographic was released by the Philippine Navy, again with the conventional diesel-electric submarine still in the acquisition plan, but clearly defined to be part of the Horizon 3 phase, from 2023 to 2028. Finally, another infographic was published by the Philippine Navy in their April 2016 official publications, indicating that the submarines are an integral part of the Surface Action Force. A departure from previous plans shows that they will need to acquire 6 submarines, instead of just 3 to provide a better deterrent capability. The submissions made were supported by the Philippine Navy for their capability plan under the Horizon 1 to 3 phases, wherein they submitted in 2016 a plan to acquire 2 conventional diesel-electric submarines within the Horizon 2 phase, and 4 more similar subs in the Horizon 3 phase. Between 2016 to 2017, the Navy made improvements in the proposal for submission to the Office of the President, with a new president at the helm of the country with promises to improve the armed forces of the Philippines to new heights. The Philippine Navy again tweaked its acquisition proposal under the Horizon 2 phase. Instead of just acquiring 2 conventional diesel-electric submarines, they moved even more aggressively forward, by instead requesting a fleet of 3 conventional diesel-electric submarines worth 20 billion pesos each, 7 midget submarines for 5 billion pesos each, and 6 two-person swimmer delivery vehicles for 35 million pesos each. The project is by far the most ambitious proposal made by the Philippine Navy and was among those submitted to the Office of the President in early 2017 as part of the 367.7 billion pesos Horizon 2 program for the Philippine Navy alone. Aside from that, the Philippine Navy has finally made a submarine group in its command under the Philippine Fleet to study submarine and submarine warfare and prepare them for its acquisition of submarines. Officers and men assigned to this group have a chance to study abroad on basics in submarine warfare and submarine construction. Unfortunately, the aggressiveness might be too much. The president and his economic team shut down the project due to the high price of the proposal. The Philippine Navy was again requested to revise their program to under 75 billion pesos. The project became part of the recently approved 300 billion pesos Horizon 2 Priority Projects program, wherein the Philippine Navy is getting 77.6 billion pesos. In this approved acquisition program, none of the submarines proposed earlier were included. Not even the 2-person swimmer delivery vehicles were there. Instead, the acquisition moves to the Horizon 3 phase of 2023 to 2028, or on a proposed second list of Horizon 2, which will depend on the capacity of the government to pay. Nonetheless, the submarine group continued to exist and continue its mandated task of preparing the Philippine Navy for submarine operations. Then the unexpected happened when in June 2018, the Department of National Defense Public Affairs announced that President Duterte and Defense Secretary Lorenzana has agreed to the request made by the Philippine Navy to front-load the acquisition of at least 2 submarines into the Horizon 2 phase using the second list of Horizon 2 program. The Philippine Navy has no announcement for the specific budget yet, but beyond 40 billion pesos is expected for 2 submarines. The Submarine Acquisition Project may go as high as 75 billion pesos due to constructing a new submarine base, a submarine training facility, new support facilities for submarine operations, and equipment acquisition to support the submarine fleet. Despite the high cost, President Duterte intends to have the submarine procurement in his legacy project for the Philippine Navy and push for it to happen. Considering the submitted offers to use soft loans or financial assistance from the supplying country's government, it means that the Department of National Defense would make any submarine acquisition through government-to-government deal as early as the submarine group's formation. The Philippine Navy has already released a request for information addressed to several international submarine builders to provide information about their respective products. This process is to allow the Philippine Navy to determine what to procure with the proposed budget. The companies who provided information to the Philippine Navy are Saab Group of Sweden, offered a derivative of the A-26 submarine design. ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems of Germany offered a derivative of Type 209, Type 210 and Type 212 submarine. Naval Group of France offered a derivative of the Scorpion-class submarine. Iwa Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering from South Korea offered the Changbogo class, and Rosoboron Export of Russia offered the Project 636 Kilo class submarine. Aside from providing information on their submarine products, These shipbuilders already delivered different offers to the Philippine Navy. It appears that foreign shipbuilders or their counterpart defense ministries made numerous meetings between the Department of National Defense and the Philippine Navy from 2017 and 2018. In August 2018, the Department of National Defense is still choosing between the offers made. They mentioned that affordability is a significant factor in deciding, which means both procurement cost and annual sustainment costs. The Defense Secretary confirmed that the Russian submarine is more expensive, but better, probably comparing it to the Korean offer. Considering both German and French offers are more expensive than the Russian offer, they expected that Russian Project 636 improved Kilo class is more expensive to operate due to its larger size than the Korean Changbogo class, which means it also consumes more fuel. This statement by the Defense Secretary may show some leaning on the Korean offer, and it is also close to Philippine Navy flag officer in command. A recent statement that interoperability is a significant factor in deciding what submarine to acquire. Compared to the improved Kilo class, the Changbogo class is easier to specify to use data sharing and communication equipment that will be compatible and interoperable with the Philippine Navy and armed forces of the Philippines' current and future C4I Star system. In 2018, Asian Defense and Security Defense Expo in Manila, the Korean shipbuilder Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering focused on their offer for submarines for the Philippine Navy based on their 1400 design, which is an improvement over the Changbogo class of Republic of Korea Navy. Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering announcement on the 1400 design. Also included is what they call the full package program. This will provide the totality of the requirements needed by the Philippine Navy should they pick their submarine solution. Among those they are willing to provide are as follows: building of most reliable and cost-effective submarine, training and co-exercises, transfer of technology and local support, transfer of expertise and experience, long-term logistics support, guarantee and support of government, financial support. All 7 features are actually what the Philippine Navy needs for them to achieve a successful submarine program. In short, Daewoo Shipbuilding is willing to provide the end user with a submarine program from scratch, most definitely based on South Korea's own experience. By 2019, based on the statements of the Department of National Defense and Philippine Navy officials, the Philippine Navy appears to have already shortlisted its plans between Daewoo Shipbuilding offer and the Naval Group's offer. A decision has become apparent by 2020 that the Philippine Navy has selected the Naval Group proposal with the Scorpion-class submarine with no air-independent propulsion system included, using the CM-2000 conventional design variant. Also included are the French Navy and Naval Group's assistance in forming the Philippine Navy Submarine Force, constructing a new submarine base, new submarine training facility, acquiring support equipment, and several other inclusions. The French government also proposed a credit line to allow the acquisition. Despite the lack of funding from the Philippine side, this proposal would be paid in multiple years, would be low interest, and even include a counter-trade offer. In 2021, the Philippine Navy, led by Flag Officer in Command Vice Admiral Bacordo, visited the French Navy and met with his French counterpart. They briefed on French Navy thrust and direction and French submarine organization and capability. Further, the discussions on French submarine organization and capability concept have provided essential inputs of utmost consideration in establishing the Philippine Navy's submarine force. Significantly, the Chief of the French Navy has expressed support in the efforts of the Philippine Navy in capability development, wherein their Directorate for General Armaments and Defense Conseil International can assist for the aspects of procurement and training respectively. In the following days, they visited the Naval Group's shipyard facility. This development is part of the Philippine Navy's interest in Naval Group's offer for the Submarine Acquisition Project, with Naval Group leading in the selection with its Scorpion-class diesel-electric attack submarine. Another offer also surfaces in April 2021. The Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Sobihana visited officials from the Turkish Ministry of Defense. The trip to Turkey also includes a visit to ASFAT office and facilities, in line with their offer to the Philippine Navy on shipbuilding programs, including the Submarine Acquisition Program. They offer to build and supply a modified variant of the Rise-class submarine, delivered to the Turkish Navy. The Rise class is a Turkish variant of the German Type 214 diesel-electric submarine. ASFAT is offering transfer of technology, training, and technical know-how, logistics and maintenance support, and assisting in designing and constructing a submarine base and training facilities as part of a package. The Turkish government is also offering a financing option to allow the Philippines to proceed with the submarine procurement, despite financial difficulties due to COVID-19 related expenses of the Philippine government. On the 28th of May 2021, the Philippines Department of National Defense Assistant Secretary has visited the Republic of Korea Navy's Submarine Force Command and Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering. He also had meetings with officials from the South Korean Defense Acquisition Program Administration and Korean Export-Import Bank. They discussed the transfer of know-how on submarine operations to the Philippine Navy and visited the Daewoo shipbuilding facilities, and discussed with officials regarding the total solution package offer for the Philippine Navy's Submarine Acquisition Project. This development is a surprising move, since the Philippine Navy and Defense Secretary Lorenzana have been very vocal in their previous statements that France's package offer with Naval Group Scorpion-class submarine was the preferred choice by the Philippine Navy. France's offer is quite similar to the South Korean proposal. However, the submarine itself is key to the decision. The Scorpion class is a better submarine than the older 1400 design, an upgraded German Type 209. Also, suppose the price would be a significant factor. In that case, the South Korean offer is cheaper than the French offer, to the point that the South Koreans may offer up to 3 submarines for a little over the French's proposal for 2 subs. The only issue that Philippine Navy officials are concerned about is that the 1400 design appears to have problems with the Indonesian Navy, known as the Nagapasa class. The decision of the Indonesian Ministry of Defense to cancel its deal to build another batch of 3 submarines, as well as problems reported on the Nagapasa class, were taken into consideration by Philippine Navy leaders and technical team. This project remains to be seen if the Philippine Navy will acquire those capabilities in sufficient quantity or quality to present a credible deterrent against the Philippines' various challengers in the South China Sea.